Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Kasper.
Let's open up things here talking about not only the big story in Wisconsin sports, but in the world. It is Giannis watch right now. What are the Bucks going to do? The trade deadline is one day away. And you're seeing some trades right now in the NBA. You're seeing like a trade with the Wolves that opened up some money that had some people wondering, are they setting up for a move to potentially acquire one Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, from the Milwaukee Bucks? Well, if you ask Giannis what he wants, it goes completely against the narrative that is being thrown out there by ESPN, by Shams, and all those insiders at that network, and elsewhere from a national landscape. Jim Owczarski from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel with the big bomb. And good for him. First of all, good that it was a local piece, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. So Jim's fantastic human being. We've had him on the program many times before. So friend of the program, Jim. But it's also kind of just, it's that smirk that you go to, I'm going to get to the quotes here from Giannis, which I think are big quotes, and it's coming from Giannis himself. You would think that would be top headlines across, the national stuff. No, not even mentioned. Why even throw that out there? It's kind of like, whatever. So, big time shout out to Jim. So, what were the quotes? What were some of them? I won't go through the whole piece here because I highly encourage you to read the piece from Jim and support him, because it was a fantastic get. But the big ones here from Giannis saying, quote, what I want deep down in my heart is I want to be a Milwaukee Buck for the rest of my career and win here, end quote. You would think that quote would be all over the place. All over. It's not. Because why? It doesn't fit the narrative that they're running with, perhaps. So, but some other quotes. I play because I bleed green. I play because I know what I've built here. For me, it's a huge puzzle. It's a huge Lego piece that I've built. And I don't like people taking out pieces from it. I want to keep on building as much as I can. What does that show? Does that show a guy that's not going to be here? Is that what my actions show? I could tell you whatever I want, but what does my actions show? That I want to be here. I want to be here with people that I know what it takes to win. I came here when I was 18. A human being, when is the time they have their earliest memories? Around the age of what? 4, 5, right? So from 5 to 18 is 13 years. From the time I can remember, I came here from 18 to 31, which is 13 years. I spent more time in Milwaukee, Wisconsin than in my country. I've created more memories in this city than in my country. The only memory I knew from my country is selling stuff in the street, go to practice, live in fear, protect my brothers as much as I can, and be a good kid, be a kind kid. So here, I'll tell you what I've known here. I've known what it is to be an NBA player, what it is to make it to the NBA. I've learned what it is to be an all-star player. I've learned how to be a champion. I've learned how to be an MVP. I've learned how to be a father. I got married in Milwaukee and also legally from the courthouse. And also, I've had my kids here. My father is buried here. So tell me when I open the passport of my kids and it says born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, My dad is buried here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So people have the audacity to come tell me and say, quote, this guy really doesn't love Milwaukee. I don't love Milwaukee. Not the people that know. The people of the city know how much I love them. This city has let me be myself. Let me be father. Let me be a husband. Have let me be my own true self. I'm walking in the street. People don't bother me. But there's going to be the whole other people, because here's 8 billion in this world that have their own opinion. Opinions are cheap. That's why everybody has one. They let me be myself in this city, and I ask for one thing only, to bring joy back to this city, because this city deserves it. We've been at the top, and I know we can have down years, but we have to continue to have the mindset, period. Okay. And if that's not the case, then I've seen the love of people and what they wish for me. If it's not the case and people have different agendas within their own team, something's got to change. That's all. When he was asked what his input into discussions with John Horst and ownership are, he said zero. Again, he insisted he's listening to Bucks ownership. He will not say he's lost faith in their ability to build a contending roster around him, saying, quote, I always listen. That's why I'm still here. I always listen and trust. But what I'm trying to say, how many chances do I have left to win a championship? So you just got to be more careful and more urgent in every decision that you make moving forward. It doesn't change. I think I've listened since day one, and that will never change. I have great respect, love, and likeness for John and the ownership, and that will never be different, won't change. But at the end of the day, you got to look. So, yeah, there's some pretty interesting quotes. And again, he said, if you ask me what do I really want deep down in my heart, I want to be a Milwaukee Buck until I retire and win a championship here. End of sentence. If that is not possible to happen, and if you realize maybe that's not the case, and maybe they're looking elsewhere, and that's not what they're trying to do, then automatically you just have to be in the plans of what they're trying to do or weigh the other options. It's normal. I know what my goal is. I don't know what their goal is. I know that I talk to them, but I don't think that it's fair to share the conversations that I talk with them. They haven't come to the game recently. We haven't been so good. So they're probably upset. I bet you can talk to them and ask them, what's your goal? What do you want to do? They might want to reveal. They might even want to sell. They might want to do some other things. Maybe. I don't know. So, as Bucks fans, you hear those quotes. Those are just some of the quotes from Giannis in that piece. What goes through your mind? What's your thought process through that? I think, well, for one, it's right there in writing and right there from Giannis's mouth. He wants to stay in Milwaukee. He wants to be a Buck. Does he want to win a championship? Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely he does. There's no doubting that. 100%. And he wants to do it in Milwaukee. It is setting up now, I think he has thrown that out there, and he's thrown it out there a few times now, right? A couple weeks ago, he said he would never demand a trade. Now he has told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel he wants to retire as a Buck. He also wants to win. He wants to compete for a championship. He wants both of those things. He wants to do it in Milwaukee. Is that possible, though? That is the question. That's the question here. Can the Bucks, with Giannis and all their constraints financially now, can they win a championship? with Giannis right now and all those constraints with all those moves that they made? That is the question. And I think that is what he's also throwing out there. If the Bucks don't think they can, then I think that's why we're probably hearing stuff that, all right, they're maybe making or thinking about making a move. But what this also does is it clearly, if the Bucks do decide to move on from Giannis, it's not because Giannis wanted it. I think that is now clearly evident that it wasn't him forcing his way out. It goes against the story, the narrative, the rumor, the report, whatever the heck you want to call it, that he has been telling the Bucks for months that it's time for a new home. It goes completely against that. It just, right now, I think the question has to be answered. Can the Bucks win another championship with Giannis and their current constraints? Lack of talent, lack of financial flexibility because of the cap and such. That's what they got to figure out. And if I'm Horst, if I'm the ownership group, we got to sit down with Giannis here and say, okay, Giannis, we want you to stay here. Here, the couple things here. We want you to stay. We want you to retire as a Buck. We want you to play your whole career as a Milwaukee Buck. But we got to meet in the middle here now. Yes, the clock is ticking. The age is getting up there. But, you know, you look at this year. All right? Not going to be winning a championship. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. We may have to cut some salary and such and make some other moves here. It might take a couple years. And I'm sure Giannis probably doesn't want to hear that. And he won't be all too happy about that, right? But it's you got to meet in the middle somewhere. It's if you want to stay as a Buck, then the Bucks the Bucks and Giannis are gonna have to come to an agreement of like, okay, this might take a couple years to kind of reset everything. And with that, if Giannis truly does want to remain, and I'm the Bucks, I approach him with a contract extension. You want to stay, and you're committed to us, we'll commit to you. It's going to take probably a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years to kind of reset. Who knows? If you're willing to do that, so you could play your whole career here with the Bucks, sign the dotted line. Sign the extension, and all this talk out there will go away for a little bit because we know it'll never completely go away. I want these two, Giannis kind of mentioned there that, they're not talking. If the trade deadline comes and goes and there's no move, I really hope both sides can sit down and talk and figure this thing out. And just come to some sort of an agreement and an understanding. Okay, this is the plan. This is what we're thinking. And then, move forward. It's probably going to have to take to rebuild while keeping Giannis. This year, you can wash it completely down the drain. Hey, they ain't doing anything. You look at next year, though. You're like, okay, let's take a step towards that. Still going to be a little financially constrained in that, but you're going to have a little bit more flexibility. All right? Cool. But you really, the other part in this thing here, too, is if you have a little bit more of that financial flexibility and such, you're thinking you could get some free agents, get some guys to pair up and with Giannis. Giannis is going to have to show that commitment and sign that extension and kind of help bring in some other talent. It's like if I'm a free agent, let's say, I'm a stud player, younger player or such, and okay, I'm intrigued with playing with Giannis and such, but I don't know if he's committed there, so why would I commit there? This is where that understanding between Giannis and the Bucks are going to have to come together and sing Kumbaya, hold hands, whatever it has to be, and show a united front in this thing. That's how I would approach all this. If I'm Horst, if I'm the ownership, I see this from Giannis. I see that he wants to retire as a Buck. Okay, Giannis, let's set out. Here's what we have to do. This is the only way this is going to work. We've dug ourselves into a big hole. We're not going to point the fingers at why. We're not going to blame who. Just let's acknowledge we've dug ourselves into a deep hole with some questionable decisions at best. Decisions that didn't work. You want to stay here. We want you to stay here. But this is how it's going to work. This year, down the drain. We ain't doing anything. Next year, we'll take that next step. Still not going to be fully, everything's going to be cleaned off the books. Might take a couple years. Are you in? Are you in for this? And if he says yes, present him with that contract extension, nail it down, and then you go from there. If he's not, if he says he doesn't want to give it a couple years, that he's not buying into that, then I think that's when you go into the offseason with that, all right, maybe we do have to move on. But Giannis has clearly put the ball in the front office and the ownership's court. Check. Giannis doesn't want out. So if the Bucks decide to move on from him, it's because the Bucks wanted to move on from Giannis and reset this whole thing. Wow, this is it. This is really, really interesting. Like, this is a little bit different now than the whole Rodgers thing. I feel like, because and I'll admit it too. Like, earlier on in this whole process, like a couple months ago and such, I wanted Giannis to say, "What do you want?" I wanted him to come out and say, "What do you want?" Can't say he hasn't done that now. A couple times now. A couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, he says, "I'm not going to demand a trade," and now he's literally said, "I want to retire." But okay, he has told us what he wants now. He wants to win a championship. He wants to do it in Milwaukee. And I think it's pretty clear cut. If the Bucks don't think that they can win another championship with Giannis in the current way it's going, then he probably will be out. Or if he doesn't think that's going to happen here in the next couple of years, or doesn't like the plan, he probably isn't going to sign an extension. I don't know. That's kind of where I feel like at this point.